Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint and welcome back to another video. So if you follow me for a while, you'll know that when I play my PlayStation 5 or my Xbox Series X, I actually play them on my TV. Now that means it's important that whichever TV that I use is decent enough for gaming. Well, this is the 75-inch LG QNED 99, which offers most things I need from a TV, including HDMI 2.1, 120Hz, 4K and 8K support, as well as LG's Game Optimiser mode. But how does it actually look and play? Well, I'm going to show you loads of gaming today on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, including games like Call of Duty, Ghost of Tsushima, Demon's Souls, Forza and FIFA. Plus I'll demonstrate it during the day and at night to give you a real use experience. But if you want to know the full specs of this TV, I actually did an unboxing video about 2 weeks ago, but today we will concentrate on just gaming. First up, although this is only a beta, is Call of Duty Vanguard. I wanted to show you this because it not only looks really nice, it actually runs at 120 frames and also proves just how good the input lag is on this TV. If there's any game that will show you how slow or poor a TV input lag is, it's definitely a first-person shooter like Call of Duty. As you'd guess, if the TV has a slow response, you're gonna get shot before you even have a chance to pull the trigger yourself. But as you can see here, I've had no problems at all playing on this QNED TV. Well, the contrast looks perfect, the picture is clean, and the response is incredible. I will show you more Call of Duty gameplay a little bit later, but did anyone else play the beta at the weekend? What did you think? I've shown Ghost of Tsushima before in a previous video, but since then we've actually had a PlayStation 5 update. This has to be one of the nicest looking games available, so I had to show it today. The mini LEDs do an awesome job of controlling the scene, whether it's bright or dark or a combination of both. I can't see any banding or motion issues when panning, and the detail in the picture is really impressive. The landscape on this game looks so nice. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is pretty vibrant, and this gives a better idea on how the colours are shown on screen. Also, as it's a pretty fast-paced game, the motion handling is extremely smooth with no screen tearing at all. I actually completed this game within the first few days of it launching earlier this year, and replaying it again now just reminds me just how good this game is. Next up is Spider-Man. So we've got two Spider-Man games on the PlayStation 5, we've got the remaster and we've got Miles Morales. Both look and play really well. Now these games are great for showing off the motion handling as you're swinging around the city. Just look at the detail of the suit, it's so sharp, it's so clean, plus you can really see just how nice the contrast is here. The game looks so good. And if you're interested in knowing, I actually use the Performance RT setting on this game. So a gameplay video for a new TV is not complete without showing at least a little bit of Forza footage. And here it is, this is 2018's Forza Horizon 4. Visually, I still think this is one of, if not the best racing games that's out there. It's not really even a next-gen game. It looks so nice, no screen tearing and no banding at all. But what do you think? Do you think this is still one of the most ultimate racing games available? Okay, so next up, which is probably the darkest game you can play right now, and that's Demon's Souls. Now this game is a remake and it looks absolutely incredible. Now as it is a very dark game, this is a great way to test out the dark areas of the screen. It's also easier to see how the mini LEDs control those zones around that TV. So it does a great job, but you can very clearly see in the shaded or the shadow areas that it's not quite as dark as you'd hope to see. It's still very good, and I guess I'm naturally comparing it to an OLED, which shows perfect blacks. But for an LCD, the blacks are very impressive, just not perfect. So if you are playing a lot of dark games like Demon's Souls or Resident Evil, a screen like this you may struggle with it. I think the last time that I played a FIFA game was probably about 7 or 8 years ago, but as so many of you have asked to see this game featured, well, here it is. And you know what? It actually looks pretty good. The colours, brightness and shadows on the screen look awesome, and the motion handling is pretty decent. It's far better than I was expecting. I'll be honest, before I played this game, I was actually worried that the ball moving across the screen would leave a kind of trail, but it doesn't. It's borderline perfect. So if you play a lot of sports games like FIFA or NFL, I'd have no concerns with recommending this TV. Something I mentioned at the start of this video is the new Game Optimiser mode. So if you press the settings button on the remote, you'll get this new overlay. And this will show you the current frame rate of the game along with any settings you'd like to tweak. So although this is pretty neat, it's not unique to the QNED 99 as it's on most of the 2021 TVs. Dirt 5 is another game that runs at 120 frames per second, which means this is perfect for showing how smooth the gameplay can be. Not only that, but it's quite a vibrant arcade game, so it shows how nice it looks on the TV. The bright areas look well lit and the dark areas do an okay job of controlling the contrast. A quick look at Days Gone. So this is a PlayStation 4 game that had a performance upgrade this year to 60 frames per second. It's a pretty dark looking game, but again it gives you an idea of what the contrast and the dark scenes are like. And as we go off center, this is where you can really see the dark areas are going kind of like a light grey, but it's still pretty decent when you're looking straight on. If there's one game to show off the brightness of this TV, it's got to be Flight Simulator. Now, I'll be honest, this is not a game that I play. I actually downloaded it on launch day when it came out earlier this year, but I very quickly realised I had no patience at all to learn to fly, and I just ended up crashing the plane constantly, but it looks pretty nice. So back onto another Call of Duty game, and this time Cold War. Again, just like with Vanguard that I showed earlier, this game is all about a high refresh rate and a low input lag. I don't actually play much Cold War anymore, and that's because I'm playing Warzone instead. But the few games that I played this week, the TV had no issues at all with handling it. It's fast and it's responsive, and the picture looks awesome on the screen, and the fact it is HDMI 2.1, obviously we can run this game at 120 frames. So as I mentioned, I'm actually playing a lot more Warzone lately, mainly the Rebirth Island. I found the shorter games with the easier respawn a lot more fun than usual, but it looks as good as you would expect on the QNED 99. In fact, I've actually played better on this TV over the last couple of weeks than I usually play. And if that's saying something, it's proven that the input lag is of no concern at all, coming in at as low as 7.5 milliseconds. Another PlayStation 5 exclusive here, which is nice and colourful, and that's Astro's Playroom. If you've got a PlayStation 5, you'll know this game comes free with the console, and as I've said it before, it's definitely worth playing for the DualSense features alone. So this game is totally different to the rest that I've shown today, and that is called Life is Strange True Colors. I've only played the first level so far, but from what I've seen, this looks really nice. It's a very slow and story driven game, so there's no motion handling or high frame rate to worry about. But it looks nice and the colours really pop on screen.
All the way from Portland, huh? What do you think of Haven?
Okay, so here are a couple of 30 frames per second games, something that will really test the TV on older games. This is a 2019 game released on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, and is actually on Game Pass too. It's not had any PlayStation 5 or next gen upgrades or remasters as such, so it doesn't really run any differently. But for a game that's running at 30 frames per second, this looks really nice on the QNED. But I'd still love to see a 60 frame per second version. If you've ever played any of the original Mafia games, you've got to give this one a go. So this is the remaster, which looks great, but unfortunately is running also at 30 frames per second. So for a game with this FPS, it's running as smoothly as possible, but we could really do with a 60 frames per second version. Now, one thing I noticed about this game, other than the frame rate, is the grey or the dark areas of the screen look pretty grey in comparison. These kind of shadow or shaded areas I've not really experienced on other games, so I'm going to put that down to the game itself rather than the TV. So those are all of the games that I've enjoyed playing on the QNED 99, but there are still loads more that I'm looking forward to seeing, including Forza Horizon 5, Back 4 Blood, Gran Turismo 7, Call of Duty Vanguard, as well as Battlefield. Along with, of course, the new games that we saw at the PlayStation Showcase, including Wolverine and Spider-Man 2. And what about you? Are there any upcoming games that you're really hyped for? So that was another look at the 75-inch QNED 99, which is LG's newest mini LED TV. Overall, I think it handles the games pretty well considering its size. The screen looks bright, it's vibrant, it's very detailed as well, and the dark areas, considering it is an LCD, aren't too bad at all. But as I mentioned earlier, if you play a lot of dark games in general like Demon's Souls or Resident Evil, you might struggle with a screen like this. And don't forget, I did actually do a full unboxing of this TV if you want to check that out. Well, you've just made it to the end of today's video, so thank you for watching. Let me know what game that I should definitely play on this TV, or if I've mentioned it already, which was your favourite. I will then give you a thumbs up for staying until the end. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you don't miss my next upload. You can also follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time.